Welcome to a special Gamescom edition of Next Gen Console Watch, our show following everything happening with the latest gaming hardware. I'm Daemon Hatfield, and I'm joined by Max Scoville and Jada Griffin from Podcast Beyond. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Daemon. Hey, everybody.
There's been a lot of news this week as it relates to this very show. We have the release date for the Xbox ROG Ally X handheld. It's less than 2 months away, but they haven't revealed the price yet. Not a great sign. There's apparently consensus among the developers here at Gamescom that they have to start making games faster. That's music to my ears. But let's start with some PlayStation news. This week, PlayStation isn't here at Gamescom, but it did have an announcement to make. It announced that it's raising the price of the PS5. In the US, that domino finally fell. It went into effect on August 21st. Here's what they cost now. The PS5 now costs $550. The digital version is $500. Remember, it launched at $400, so it's $100 more than it cost 5 years ago. And a PS5 Pro is $750 now. So, Isabel Tomatis, Sony Interactive Entertainment's Vice President Global Marketing, says, similar to many global businesses, we continue to navigate a challenging economic environment. We know what that's code for. PS5 has sold 80 million units so far. That's right behind the PS3. There's no word on how many units the PS5 Pro has sold as of this point. So, okay, Max, you host a PlayStation podcast. I would guess the bulk of your audience already has a PS5, but do you think this price increase will deter new buyers?
I don't think it's going to make them more excited to buy one. I mean, we're at that point in the console generation where historically things get cheaper.
Yep.
You know, this is the first console generation where this has been happening across the board, and it sucks. It's not great. It's bizarre because it's such a complete reversal of how it's always been, where, you know, the early adopters typically get punished by the price tag, but this time around it's kind of an early bird situation, which, I definitely, I think there's still going to be people who want a PS5. I don't see this doing any favors for the PS5 Pro, but then again, maybe people are going to be sort of trying to future-proof themselves or just get in front of the fact that maybe it'll get even more expensive. If this is happening once, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that it would happen again.
I mean, it's hard to imagine now. Just imagine a scenario where the tariffs go away. I don't think Sony brings the price down.
I don't
back
think so.
down.
I think that price is probably going to be there until they're just getting rid of the consoles, get them off the shelves for the PS6 whenever that ends up dropping. Or like not even when the PS6 is dropping, like 3-4 years into the PS6 generation, and they're like, we've got all these PS5s just sitting around on shelves. Okay, we can finally discount them because it's and just like write that cost off at that point. But it's going to be a while for that.
It doesn't feel good to anyone who's thinking about buying a PS5 today. It doesn't feel good knowing that you're paying more than what everyone else paid for the past 5 years.
Yep.
This could, seriously affect the lifetime sales of the console.
Definitely. No, I think that this could impact next-gen consoles in general. If Sony isn't moving PS5s as quickly as they want to, I don't know. I feel like we're still barely getting games that fully take advantage of this thing. We're not really even, exclusives seem to be kind of out the window. But I feel like anybody who's kind of contemplating buying a PS5, it's getting more expensive at this point. Maybe just wait for a PS6. What's the point?
We should acknowledge PS5 isn't alone in this. Xbox raised the price of its console, Nintendo raised the price of the Switch 1. So across the board, gaming's getting more expensive. Max, I want to know what you think about this. Personally, I don't think the current PS5 lineup is strong enough to maintain demand at the new price point. Because we got Ghost of Yotei, which, don't get me wrong, I'm very excited for. But Tsushima has sold 13 million units across PlayStation and PC. That's not a system selling number.
No, it's
not. And then they've got Marathon next year. Again, I don't think. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the PS3 was initially sluggish, like the 360 kind of ran circles around it. It caught up towards the tail end, and also we got some incredible games at the tail end of the PS3 life cycle. So I could see that being the situation here. Maybe if they drag out this console generation because it's not selling as fast as they want, that gives developers a little more time to actually play around here, and we get some real bangers towards the end. But yeah, we haven't really had that. That lineup of PlayStation exclusives we come to expect. And a large reason for that is that at the top of the generation, Sony went really hard into live service games, and a bunch of those didn't exactly live up to the live part and have since been,
Yeah. Jada, how about you?
Yeah, it's such a weird phenomenon where we're at, where just everything is going up. I honestly think we're probably going to see a price increase on Switch 2s down the road.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going to go for a year. Nintendo wants to keep that momentum for as long as they can on the new console launch, but I think they're not even immune to it, which is, thankfully they, saved consumers now by raising the price of all the little accessories and things. I don't think there's a lot more wiggle room on the accessory front before those start to like really hurt sales. So I think maybe we see a small increase on the Switch there. I think the PS5 will probably see another price increase. I think it's going to, probably. Hopefully not. I really hope not, just because this used to be the hobby to, like, save money. You know what I mean? You would buy a console.
Even it used to be recession-proof.
Yes.
We talked about this before, because it's still like the best value for your dollar. You're getting
correct
dozens, possibly hundreds of hours for
a couple $100.
Yeah.
You know, something that you could go out and have like a nice dinner and it's like same amount of money you spend on a console, but that's one time versus years. So it'll be interesting to see how far that kind of like that recession-proof kind of dollar changes now as these consoles go up in price, because it's a bigger commitment and not all families are willing to do that. So
yeah, I'm not an economist.
None of us are. None of us.
But I can't help thinking that PS5 is 5 years old. We have a 10% tariff on China, where I think a large part of their manufacturing is done. 10% is $50, so they increased the cost of the console $50. But I just think I can't help but wonder, like, did they have to do that? Could they have not just absorbed that? Like, the console's 5 years old. I don't know. Again.
I think it's a loss on their part to not just absorb the cost, but also I don't know what their financials look like. I don't know how far they're like looking at predicting, and how, like, do we just eat the loss for 3 months, 6 months? Have they been eating the loss for like?
I know.
We know they don't make profit on the consoles to begin with. Like, most consoles are sold at a loss. They make their money in the software. Where's the software?
Could use some more of that too.
We could use some more of that.
Yeah, that's true. Now, there is the GTA 6 of it all.
Yeah.
This is a big question mark here, because we've talked a lot about that's the game that they could charge a premium for.
Correct.
It's like the most anticipated game. Nintendo charged $80 for Mario Kart World, which now in hindsight I think is a little bit silly that they did that. But they could do that for GTA 6. They could charge $80, they could charge $90, they could charge $100 for it. We talked about it, and they could get away with that. However, it's only available, it's not on PC at launch. You have to have either a PlayStation or Xbox to play it.
Yeah.
PlayStation's far more popular. So like that's like the platform to play GTA 6 on. It could have been a system seller, but now the PS5 costs $50 more. That eats in, if they charge $100 for it, that's only $30 more than a regular AAA game. But now the console costs $50 more.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't know.
Or $100 more if you're going the digital.
Yes. Yeah.
So the math isn't mathing. it's just insane.
The number's too high.
I'm so excited, not in a good way, to see what the price is for that game.
Yeah.
Because it really is going to be. I mean, it's going to be immediately one of the best-selling pieces of media ever. Like it's going to be. It's a monolithic thing. I'm really curious to see who gets the first bundle.
That's what I was thinking, because like that would be a great way for Sony to kind of offset this price increase. Throw in a free copy of Spider-Man 2. Like, just start throwing in those types of games.
No. I mean with GTA. Like,
you're talking about a GTA bundle.
We're going to at some point have a GTA 6 bundle with a console, and I'm wondering what console is going to be in there.
Well, it has to be PlayStation, right? I mean,
it doesn't have to be.
I mean, it's just hard to imagine Xbox doing that.
I mean, I imagine it's. Rockstar isn't going hat in hand to either of these companies. They are sitting comfortably in a pile of money. Like, it's going to be again, that's going to move. It's going to move units. That's going to move a bunch of consoles. Especially if there's a GTA logo on the box. Anybody who hasn't scooped up a current gen console is probably going to do so for that game. It's going to move some units.
Yeah.
I wonder if the price increase of the PS5 will somehow keep the cost of GTA 6 down. Knowing that they need to sell the game, but the console costs more, so they can't charge as much as maybe they wanted to. What do you think?
I see where you're getting with that. I don't think Rockstar cares to that degree, and not to say they don't care about their customers. I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
But I think they know that the consumers aren't upset at them that everything is more. They know the consumers are gonna blame Sony for the price increases. So they're just going to do their own playbook like they always do as Rockstar.
Yeah.
And they're just going to rake it in regardless. So
if you want to get into console gaming today and you want to use physical media, what you're looking at is the PS5 is $550, a Switch 2 is $500 because there's no reason not to buy the Mario Kart bundle, and then a Series X is $600. So what's the best value, in your opinion, getting into gaming? If you're getting in today, what's the best value there?
You know, before the Switch 1 increases, I'd say buy a Switch 1 and wait a couple years. But I don't know. I'm a PlayStation person, and I know the value there, and I think digital. If you go with the digital, you get a little bit of it cheaper. It's not on the physical media, which is a bummer for a lot of people, but I think it just kind of simplifies a lot of things, and so I think that's
yeah. I mean, I think
point.
You know, if PlayStation is getting more Xbox games than Xbox is getting PlayStation games, which is to say they're not really getting any. So if you're trying to jump in, PlayStation seems the best entry point. I think there's something appealing about the Switch 2.
Cue the comments like, oh, this is totally like one-sided. Of course, the PlayStation guys on the PlayStation podcast say the PlayStation.
I love my Series X. I adore my Series X. I think Game Pass is awesome. I love that I don't have to recharge my controllers every 4 hours.
Yes.
I love not having to uninstall everything off of my hard drive when I want to put something new on there. I'm saying I adore my Series X. It's more expensive, and Xbox games are going to PlayStation.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Also, everything's an Xbox, remember? Like, you can play most Xbox games on your computer. If you already have a computer, if you have a laptop, you can just kind of remote play them.
Now, the thing I'm curious about is, like, again, you buy, next-gen gaming hardware. Presumably you want to get kind of ahead of new games coming out. The Switch 2, more powerful than its predecessor, not saying much, like it's it's maybe a notch ahead of a PS4, which is a 13-year-old piece of hardware. I'm wondering if the popularity of the Switch 2, because it is selling very quickly, is going to cause developers to maybe just kind of hold back a little bit on, pushing next-gen tech. Like we've seen, and again, it's fun and shiny and new. You look at something running on a Switch 2 compared to a PS5 Pro, Switch 2 doesn't look quite as good. But again, you also can have some great looking games regardless. Like it's fine, and I just maybe we don't need to be focusing on like hair physics in like people's eyebrows if that's causing games to take 9 years to develop, and I don't know.
Graphics have always been like the least important factor when it comes to me buying a game. I care about the gameplay, I care about the story, I care about the soundtrack before I care about the graphics. Like,
my concern though is performance, because like graphics is one thing, performance is a big thing, and like we'll see a game that looks. I mean, we saw Elden Ring running on Switch 2 here at Gamescom, and it chugs. It doesn't look so hot, And again, that's a PS4 game. Like that. That's an Xbox One game. That is a game that runs on older hardware. This is new hardware. I don't know.
And having a tough time. Yeah.
You were so right about going back. The Xbox controller, I don't know why 2 AA batteries, it seems to last forever, but I have to charge my DualSense like every day, it seems like. But speaking of Xbox, we got the release date for the Xbox ROG Ally X. That's going to be out October 16th, which is less than 2 months away. But they haven't revealed the price yet, which I think is interesting. You can't pre-order it. Less than 2 months away, can't pre-order it, won't reveal the price. I don't know. They're going to wait. The fact that this tells me they know it's going to be a niche item.
I also think they're probably going to go low on production for it because they know it's niche, just because I think with everything, price increasing everywhere right now for everything, and, Steam Deck is expensive. This is looking to like kind of compete with that in a performance graphical capabilities perspective. It's going to be more expensive than a Steam Deck, I'm predicting.
The rumor is $900. That's what people are thinking.
That's too steep for me. And I am a collector of consoles, and that's way too steep for me.
Yeah, I got to hold one of these for the first time.
Yeah.
Feels great.
They do.
Yeah, I mean, that's expensive. At that point, it's like, well, do you want a handheld? Or do you want to save up for a PC, like a full-fledged one? Like it's a cool device. I'm curious if we're going to see, because it's the ROG Ally X. It's there's an Xbox is in there somewhere. I'm wondering if we're ever going to see just like a pure Xbox branded one of these. Like, I mean, we know that they're working with ROG to like make the hardware. Microsoft is handling the software side of things. It reminds me. This is a deep cut. It reminds me of the Xperia Play. Do you remember that?
Oh my goodness!
It was a PlayStation branded phone.
Yes.
but it wasn't a PlayStation phone. It came out about 20 minutes before the Vita did. And the Vita at launch, you could buy a phone plan if you wanted to take that thing on the go.
Yeah.
It had like a 3G support thing. And it was, I remember that the Xperia Play, it had like PlayStation buttons, but it was a Sony Ericsson phone.
Gosh.
And it just felt like it wasn't quite here or there. And I'm getting like a similar vibe from this one where it's like, I want it to be an Xbox handheld, but it's got ROG all over it, It's like, and it sort of feels like a, it feels like a collaboration more than like a first-party device, because it isn't a first-party device.
All right, let's take a quick pause there. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with plenty more next-gen console watch at Gamescom 2025, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to a special Gamescom edition of Next Gen Console Watch. I'm Daemon Hatfield. I'm joined by Max Scoville and Jada Griffin from Podcast Beyond. And we talked about PlayStation, but now we're talking about Xbox a little bit and the Xbox ROG Ally X. We know it's out October 16th. They have not released the price yet. We were just talking about this. How it seems a little bit, I think it's going to be very expensive. Rumor is $900, but I was surprised. In the comments on IGN under our article about the release date, I saw people were saying they were interested in it. At least in the comments on IGN, there seemed to be some interest. People saying, I want to get this.
It looks cool.
It does.
I mean,
and like Max said, it's here on the floor. We got to pick it up and hold it. Didn't get to play anything on it. And it has a good weight to it. It looks really nice. It's very premium. I'm not surprised that there's interest in people buying this. I think this is definitely going to really hit that sweet spot for capabilities for what the people who are going to buy this are looking for. And there's always early adopters, no matter how crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter you put something out, it's like, hey, it does this cool thing. You're going to have a handful of early adopters ready to pay whatever for it.
There were people who were there day one with Stadia.
Yep.
And the Ouya.
Yep, exactly.
I think even the Xperia Play.
Do better than those.
So, okay, we're talking about everything's getting more expensive, raising the price of the PS5, the Xbox went up, the Switch 1 went up. So, Jada, if anyone out there is even daydreaming about possibly buying a Nintendo Switch 2 someday, do you think they should pull the trigger now?
Yeah. I mean, prices are just gonna, I think, go up. I think Nintendo is shielding the early install base, like I was saying earlier, to shielding consumers so they can get their install base as big as possible, because that makes or breaks an entire console generation. We saw what happened during the Wii U, where they just failed to move units. Granted, that was also due to some just communication issues from Nintendo to the fans and the audience. But I think if they want the Switch 2 to get as close to the Switch 1's performance and sales numbers as possible, it probably won't, because it's more expensive, and I don't think it's going to get cheaper like the Switch 1 did, and then they had the Switch Lites. I'm sure we'll get some sort of Switch 2 Lite eventually. That'll be cheaper. Yeah. But I think you're realistically looking for a Switch 2 Lite, probably not for another 2 to 3 years minimum. And by then, the Switch 2 will have probably gone up at least $50.
Yep. Yeah, I think unfortunately that is the reality. Okay, let's switch gears. Our sister site, GamesIndustry.biz, put up an interesting article this week. This is from reporter Lewis Packwood. The headline was, at Gamescom, it felt like the industry now has a plan, make games quicker. Which I like the sound of that. We've talked a lot about how...
Games done quick.
Games done quick. We've talked a lot about... One of the big narratives this year is it just seems to... the development time seems to have just spiraled out of control, particularly with Western developers. They have a really hard time. Ubisoft... Electronic Arts, even like Naughty Dog, they're not getting games out the door the way the Japanese developers are. Capcom and Square Enix, they seem to be, they're doing okay. Western developers are struggling. Perfect Dark was in development for 7 years, and then they just canceled it. Concord was in development for 8 years. They didn't even give it 2 weeks on the market. Even Ghost of Yote, it took 5 years to make that game. Listen, when you start making a game, if you have no kids, and then when you release your game, if you have a kindergartner, your game took too long to make. That's too long. It used to take 1 year to make a game, and we complain about that. Yes. There used to be a new Assassin's Creed every year. a new Tony Hawk, a new Guitar Hero or Rock Band every single year.
I mean, like E.T. for the Atari, that took like 3 weeks or
took
something.
like 3 weeks, yeah.
Maybe not a good example, but yeah.
But there has to be a happy medium between taking 1 year and 5 years plus.
I will give you a great example. Squanch Games, they put out High on Life in 2021.
Yep.
They put out DLC a year later. They ported it to PS5. They ported it to Switch. They have a sequel coming out in February. Like, it's
That's good.
bigger, it's more impressive than the last one. They seem like they're having a great time making it. I was like, how did you do that? What are you doing? And like they were kind of like, yeah, we sort of bring like an indie mentality to AAA development. And like, I don't know. I also think like that's a good looking game, but like what I liked about the first one so much is that it felt moderately scoped. You know, like it's not a 60-hour open world game with 100 hours of side quests. It's like which I know people like those. I like those too. But it's like it's kind of nice to get a game once in a while that is, I don't know, finishable, like something you can. And again, it's when they're $70 games, that's a conversation worth having. But at the same time, it's also like when we have to wait 7 years for a games. I'd rather have a game, that I can play and then play another one about it, shortly thereafter than like I don't know.
Yeah, scope has just been an issue across the industry the last couple of years, and not couple of years, last like half decade to a decade. Scope creep is a real thing in game development, and like I think it's a communication when teams get so massive. Like you look at a company like Ubisoft, which has so many sites and so many development studios that because projects get so big, and then they have to. Everybody's communicating, everybody's helping. Credits take 3 hours to watch because you need to credit everybody, which I'm glad they do.
Sure.
But also, I don't need to see every reflection in the water, like in puddles as I walk through. Like, I don't need that.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that they're talking about here. So getting back to this article, Lewis Packwood writes, having spent the past 4 days dashing between appointments with CEOs and developers, there is one sentiment that remained consistent among almost everyone I spoke to. We need to make games quicker. So that's good. One option is to make games that look worse.
And that's
what we're talking about.
I'm okay with games looking worse. And I'm not saying to where like you're just like diagonal polygons sticking out of character. Like I'm not talking
like original Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
Yeah, exactly. We're not looking for jank. We're just looking for more artistic expression that requires less like pixels or less
graphics, more art direction.
Yes, exactly.
It blows my mind that we get, for whatever reason, the Star Wars games we get, the AAA ones, they have to look like movies. But the cartoons, like Clone Wars and stuff, it's okay for them to look like Fortnite. But like nobody's been like, let's make a video game that looks like Clone Wars. And it's like, that probably would take less time than it takes to like, render like Cal Kestis' mustache or whatever. Like it's just, it kind of blows my mind. Borderlands comes to mind, where like that game probably, I mean, it definitely benefited from having the sort of cell-shaded art direction. And it probably like, again, it carved out its own aesthetic. But had they tried to make that thing, look and run like Fallout 3 when it came out, like I don't know if it would have been as much of a success as it was,
Yeah.
Even when you look at games from like God of War Ragnarok is 3 years old, but when you look at it, I'm like, games don't need to look any better than this.
Yes.
Right? Like that's fine. You don't need to be like trying to improve on God of War Ragnarok.
I agree. I think we need to get to the point where games like hit a specific level of visual quality, a great art direction, length, and then like give me those shorter experiences. Give me those 20, 30-hour games and like pump out two or three of those over the course of 3-4 years for like a 20, 30, hour game, something smaller, something more compact. Give me little tiny spin-off things of like, hey, this was a really cool idea. I really like this. Give me another little thing that's like $20.
Yeah.
Like that takes you a year and a half, 2 years to develop. Like that. Keep the lights on.
Like I appreciate the, trying to like push the medium forward.
Yeah.
But I just don't think every game needs to do that.
I agree.
Right? Like make more games, get them out faster, and then every 5 years have the one game that's like, carrying the torch forward. Especially with younger gamers who I think grew up on Roblox and Minecraft. I don't think they're looking for the most.
And Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly.
Developers, they know this. they're competing against Fortnite anytime they drop a game. Regardless of what game you're dropping, you're competing against Fortnite. This free-to-play has a massive, massive install base that is getting monthly, seasonal updates with different characters and themes and crossovers. Like, they're pulling in all the audiences into Fortnite. So you're competing with it no matter what. So you've got to have a way to draw that attention and make them make gamers want to play your game over playing a free thing with their friends.
Okay, well, hopefully they do start making games quicker. Let's talk about some of the games that are here at Gamescom. Here in Hall 7, we've got THQ Nordic with Gothic Remake and Reanimal, and Konami's back here, and I think Xbox is in here too in this hall. Anyway, the big games of the show, we hosted the Gamescom Awards here the other day, and Resident Evil Requiem up the awards, so that's a big game here. Did you guys get to see that?
Yeah, got to go play it yesterday,
give us some thoughts on Requiem.
If you are a huge fan, based on the demo, purely based on the demo, if you're
I don't know if I like where this is going.
If you're a huge fan of Alien Isolation, you're going to really like this game.
Okay.
The demo is just this portion of that you're seeing on screen here, and you're just kind of wandering around looking for different items to open up like a fuse box and replace a fuse, and to get out of this building. And our new friend, I forget our friend's name. Do you remember our friend's name?
Grace Ashcroft?
Not who we're playing as. Our friend that shows up in the demo.
Stalker?
That guy jump scare got me in the demo too.
Jump scare, yeah.
I don't think they've announced her name.
Okay. Oh, that's right. We need to. That's right. Yeah, we don't have the name yet.
Language. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I think that if you like Alien Isolation, you're going to like this demo. I think this demo is going to make its way. I think it's going to be public at some point because I feel like
Do you
Japanese
think this
devs
is like
have been,
the kitchen demo? That it's not actually part of the game?
No, I think this is part of the game, or at least a modified version of it. But I don't think it's like a separate thing entirely. I think this is a little chunk. But I as far as the demo goes, like it felt extremely corridored because it literally is just some corridors. Like it's kind of like a Y-shaped map, and you're running back and forth trying to turn on a light. I think it's really cool. Like technically absolutely stunning, really cool use of HDR where light is a big deal. The monster's scared of the light, so you're trying to turn the lights on so you can kind of stay safely, whatever. But it's kind of like point A to point B to point B to point C. And I hope the rest of the game isn't like that. I hope it opens up more. And I'm sure it's obviously not going to be just this hallway. It's not PT. But yeah, I mean, I feel like after 4, which again it goes kind of hard on the action. I'm hoping that this is more like 7, which 7 starts off extremely kind of claustrophobic, small scale, grounded Texas Chainsaw Horror, and it gets more bombastic as it goes on. But yeah, I mean, 8 was so 8 had a really good ramp up. I felt like. And this feels like it's almost kind of scaled back. It feels more grounded, but I don't know if I want it to be so grounded. I kind of want get a little bit bigger. So have to wait and see how it goes. But yeah,
I love 7 and 8. I don't know. It seems like enthusiasm is a little bit muted for this one. Is that fair?
Now,
maybe is it just not doing enough sort of new? It just feels a little bit more run of the mill. What is it?
It feels like I'm playing. It felt like I was playing. It didn't feel like I was playing Resident Evil while I was playing it. Was the kind of the thing for me. It felt like I was playing an Outlast game.
Okay.
Which also great horror games. I enjoy those, but when I play Resident Evil, I want my Resident Evil vibe, not Outlast. I think also I hope her movement isn't as hobbled as she is in this demo. Her run speed does not feel good when you're running away from the monster. And I get it, she's terrified. She's not in a good situation when you start the demo, so I'm hoping that's just part of it, but I wasn't vibing with her stumbling and trying having a hard time running, especially after all the other protagonists we've gotten in Resident Evil.
They do an interesting thing though, where if you're playing in first person, your movement is, as you would expect, it's scarier because you can't see all around you, and they kind of they counterbalance that by when you're in third person. If you try running, you'll trip.
Yeah.
So and that won't happen in first person. You're not running great either way, but in third person, you're just slip and just it's nerve wracking.
Yes.
And it's a gorgeous demo, but to Jada's point, it wasn't quite giving me that Resident Evil thing,
Well, we'll see. That don't have to wait too long. That one's out in February. We're just about out of time. There have been a lot of games at the show. Lego Batman made a big impression. I'm excited for that. Hollow Knight, we finally got the Silk Song release date. Both of you, what would you say is sort of your game of the show? Could be anything here. Jada.
Honestly, I've gotten really hyped again on Borderlands 4.
Yeah.
So that's I got to play that, and so that's probably one of my game of the show. And then Sonic Racing Crossworlds is around the corner, and I love Sonic Racing games. So it's toss up between those two. With also a small shout out to Phantom Blade Zero. Sorry, I know we're out of time, but I played a lot of games this week, guys.
That's good.
High on Life 2.
Yeah.
Really endeared itself to me. Crimson Desert is also
that was
stunning.
also really good.
I feel like I still don't have a full sense of like if I'm going to actually like the game or not, but I'm definitely curious to check it out.
I put up, I think it went live today or yesterday, but 30 minutes of gameplay for Crimson Desert. And so go check it out. See me electrocuting a bunch of people, throwing people into walls. It's a good time.
Did you check out Onimusha too?
I did. Onimusha feels really good.
Good.
Yes,
Good.
Feels really good.
Well, that just about wraps up our special Gamescom episode of Next Gen Console Watch, as well as our live coverage of Gamescom for 2025. Thank you to the hundreds of thousands of you who tuned in all week long, as well as everyone right here on the Gamescom show floor. If you missed any of our coverage this week, be sure to check out IGN.com, IGN's YouTube, and IGN's social media channels.
Reminder that up next for Gamescom is Gamescom Asia, taking place in Thailand October 16th through 19th. The tickets are on sale right now. Plus, Gamescom LATAM will return to Brazil in 2026. And of course, this Gamescom will be back here in Cologne, Germany next August. Gamescom truly is an incredible worldwide spectacle.
But for now, thank you for joining us. And from everyone here at IGN, on camera and behind the scenes, it's been an honor bringing you Gamescom once again this year. And we'll see you again in 2026.
I didn't bring mine.
That's okay. You can share.